It's one small step for man, one giant leap for mankind.
Flying down from Nova Scotia today.
This nation was founded by men of many nations and backgrounds.
I have a dream that all men are created equal.
Ignition sequence start. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. We have a liftoff.
All right, what's up, Doom Nation? Welcome back. You guys are listening to the Two Doom Men podcast. Skaggs and I are a little bit thrown off on this special occasion, and we'll get into that. Let's just start it. Thank you guys for joining us. Make sure you like, share, and subscribe. And it's a special day, and it's gone down in flames so far. So what's today, Skaggs, and what are we doing here?
Today is episode 100 of Two Doomed Men podcast.
That's why I got my bow tie on, and
There you go. Nice and fancy. Captain dressed for the occasion.
yep, to be
And,
left at the altar all alone.
I got cold feet. No, so Captain and I, episode 100, it's a nice round number. We were going to just, shoot the shit, talk a little bit about the podcast, about things we normally talk about. And it was interesting. I did make it to the captain's quarters down in Yonkers over there. And
Yep.
we ran into a couple technical difficulties setting up. The captain's chair also literally
Yes.
exploded while he was
Underneath
sitting in
me.
it. So I posted that on our Instagram if you want to check it out. The chair only had 100 episodes in it before it
Yeah.
just gave out. It's had enough of our shit.
And then actually my computer chair now, the arm's broken too, which is fantastic to have broken.
Yeah.
So,
It's business as usual for the Two Doomed Men.
but anyway, yes, it is episode 100. I mean, a couple of thank yous, I think. Shout out Last Slice Podcast, Jimbo, Trill, Bodega. You guys have always helped us out in a pinch. Thank you guys for, always supporting us. We love the show. We love having you guys on. Skaggs?
Yeah, man. Thank you guys for everything. Those are our good buddies. Helped, Jimbo, obviously very key in the whole Two Doomed Men world.
Yes.
Helped us get started. Javier, Justin, everybody. The Fucked Up
Yes.
Friday.
The Fucked Up
crew.
Friday podcast.
It's been almost 2 years now, Cap, and
Yeah.
it's interesting to see how we started off podcasting with Fucked Up Friday, which we still
Yep.
do Fucked Up Friday episodes sometimes, but it went from just drinking and shooting the shit to 100 episodes of trying to make a difference. Did you
Yeah.
think that was going to happen?
No.
Way back when we decided to do podcasting as just a joke, just to have fun between friends.
Yeah, no, I didn't see it turning into this. And then even on top of it, I was thinking back, like when we had that episode where me and you got into that argument and everybody's like, this is the show. This is the show. I wasn't like on board right away either. Cause I was like, I don't want to sit here and argue with my friend every week, but how long until like, I don't want to hang out with you. You know what I mean? Like if we're arguing, but the one thing that I do enjoy about the show is the original premise of a Republican and a Democrat coming together to talk about the conversation. We took something that the media tried using to divide everyone, and we came together, and here we are 100 days late, 100 episodes later, and now you're a libertarian.
Yeah. It's funny because I was talking to this guy, Lance, was telling you about a libertarian guy and about the podcast. And he was like, so the premise of your show is a liberal and a conservative, right? I was like, yeah, it was. Maybe after episode 2. It's funny.
Yeah.
I was thinking back now, man. And we only got literally 2 episodes into Two Doomed Men before the pandemic happened.
Really?
And, yeah, I think so. I think episode 2 was called like Iowa Corona or something
Yeah.
like that. We were talking about the Iowa caucuses and the beginning of the coronavirus. And, I guess you could say COVID woke us up a little bit to a lot that was going on.
Yeah.
That was one of the things I'm sorry, I obviously can't be there in person. I kind of wanted to have this conversation.
I know.
in person, but I had a little personal emergency. I had to run back home. One of my doggies decided to go run after some deer and ran off into the woods. I found her. She's all right. I also, I was going to tell you, Cap, the field behind my house. I went in there, like a half an hour ago, and there was like 5 or 6 deer just laying down in there,
Really?
hanging out. And they were just like, I don't know if they were like sleepy or not paying attention, but I got within like 20 feet of them before they really noticed that I was there.
I got the bow right next to me over here.
And they just ran off. So that was pretty interesting. But yeah, here we are, man. Before we get into the rest,
yes,
let's have a drink.
Yeah, I picked up a nice new shiny bottle for us to review, Redemption Bourbon, and now I'm just gonna have it.
This is the first time I'm having the Game of Thrones Dolph Ween in a while. Boy, this smell just came out of here like a freight train.
That's a bit strong.
Yeah. What was I saying before? We were talking about beginnings of the podcast. So yeah, man, one of the things I wanted to talk to you about was like myself, my political like ideas, positions have definitely changed over the course of 2 years. I felt like for a while I was a man without a home politically, right? I used to be like a Bernie bro, and I used to think I was more like lean towards the Democrats. Now the Democrats have obviously got completely authoritarian, insane, whatnot. And I find myself I think, have found the correct home for myself, which is like the Libertarian Party, Mises Caucus. I don't like to like identify with any party or anything like that, but I feel like that's where I belong. So I was going to ask you, how has your political leanings or opinions or just like anything, like how has doing the podcast changed maybe the way you think, if at all? As it has for me.
It's slow. It's changed the way I read into things and react about things. It's funny how we started with, like conspiracies, and it was so like, this eye rolling Q and all this stuff. And then like now conspiracy theorists are basically just, fortune tellers telling the future, And so the one thing though, I'm more willing to admit through the perspective that we gained that the Republican Party is just as guilty. The Republican Party is just as spineless. It hasn't deterred me from like my conservative values, whereas your party, I mean, completely fell apart and just went wide left and just kept going and never looked back.
Yeah.
So yeah. And I actually had a conversation with someone the other day who was like, she's like, I grew up Democrat. I'm a complete, regular, classical Democrat. But she's like, the party is just left me. They've left everyone. So I think in the changing, it's been the way I think about politics, the way I look into things. Because like yesterday, you sent that picture of and we'll get into it with Kyle Rittenhouse, the guy who he shots the lone survivor. The media already put their talking points out about him. Operation Mockingbird's going. But you know what, though? I'm not worried about what that's going to portray, because I can promise you the internet's going to do a background search on this guy, and 5 new things are going to come up about him. He's probably some actor or did something in the past. You know what I mean? Like, and we've kind of figured out a way to like watch things unfold. We've predicted things and called them out ahead of time. You know what I mean? So I always found that great. Yeah. But I don't think, still a Trump guy, still a Republican. Yeah. I don't think I've changed that much from it.
That's fine.
But my party, other than being spineless, my party really hasn't changed its values.
Yeah, I think it's interesting. The Republican Party is obviously kind of split. It's kind of like the Democrat Party is kind of split too, between like the progressives and the establishment. Yeah. But the Republicans are also kind of split between the MAGA America First crowd and then the useless
rhinos
crowd. Yeah. And then you kind of have to figure out who's who between that group. So yeah, man, it's interesting. I feel like myself doing a podcast about politics has made me do research, right? And it's not that I wasn't skeptical of things before, or didn't look into things before. I did, right? I was very active politically. Me and Jimbo the Kid we went to Bernie Sanders rally in the Bronx, and you know, like we were into stuff like that for a long time. But I never did like deep, hard research, man. And like the more I did, because of Two Dune Men, the more I got red pilled. You know, I've used that, and I don't mean red pilled like Republican. I mean like holy shit.
Yeah, woken up to some weird shit. Yeah,
and I knew it was fucked up before, just from like the treatment of Bernie in the primaries in 2016 and whatnot. But man, I didn't know the level of how fucked up everything was, I guess you could say, until we really started doing the podcast.
Yeah. And that's where I came in beginning with all the conspiracies, because I always felt that it was this fucked up and that it's insane that, you know, people aren't waking up to this. And now I'm happy to see people waking up to it. I always had my suspicions. You know, I was always raised that, you know, politicians are corrupt, that all they do is lie. And then as I started looking closer, you started seeing the name Clinton everywhere. You started seeing the name Bush everywhere. And all of a sudden, these people become untouchable and Hillary can do no wrong. Then all of a sudden, Trump comes along and all the people I don't already trust all banded together to hate one guy. You already, you know, you're already on my radar. Now you guys are acting suspicious, you know, and down the rabbit hole I went.
Yeah, I get it. And I think something I always cautioned you over, you know, like I got that. I get it. Like it was suspicious to me also that all of a sudden here's the boogeyman. I never liked Trump from the beginning, you know, never voted for him the first time around. I actually voted for Gary Johnson, the libertarian, back when in 2016, just because I hated Trump and Clinton so much. You know, but I never had Trump derangement syndrome. And then, I became skeptical as I saw the treatment and just the stuff that made no sense whatsoever. I just tried to always, I remember looking back to old episodes, trying to caution you of, well, you know, yeah, you're right. He's not Satan reincarnate. But at the same time, he's just a different bad guy that the other bad guys don't want. You know what I mean? Like they don't want that bad guy in charge. They want to be the bad guys in charge. You know, think of it however you want. You know, I'm not trying to shit on the guy or anything. I think, you know, compared to what we have right now, he's a fucking saint. It's, you know, it's been an interesting ride, bro.
You know, two of my favorite things that have happened is shout out, obviously 990 WBOB. That was a big validating moment. You know, people always ask me like, oh, aren't you like nervous to go and record and stuff? No, I don't think like the only thing that I ever get nervous about is like one day I'm going to be on like a big job interview and they're going to pull up YouTube and there I am cursing out like the mayor or something.
Yeah.
They're like, get out of my office. That's the only thing that really like makes me nervous. But like, and they're like, well, aren't you worried about like all the people who are listening? Like I think of people listening after the fact, but the fact that 990 WBOB found our stuff, listened to it, liked what we heard, and liked what we had to say, and liked what they heard, and liked what we had to say enough to offer us an invite on their platform was extremely validating. I mean, everything, you know, people could argue that our point of view is wrong or what we're talking about is wrong, but somewhere along the line, someone out there had their own platform and was like, these guys are right, you know. And also my absolute one of my favorite episodes is, you know, when we had Casey Baker, our, you know, our Doom Nation fan come on, and he was super excited to come on. And I was like, I can't believe this random guy in 10 states over from us likes what we have to say so much that he is this excited to come on. And that was awesome.
Yeah, I agree with you, bro. It's, you know, I appreciate that we have a little tiny following here of fans, and it's cool to have like touched people in a certain way. I don't mean that in no homo. You know, with everything going on, I think I've made the point to you before is like, if sometimes if you're feeling like there's no hope inside them, I'm like, dude, well, look, you know, we went from fucked up Friday to maybe making an impact on like 100 and something people's life every week. Like they come and appreciate what we have to say and whatnot. So, you know, I always have that in the back of my mind. Like I never try and like take off an episode or whatnot. This one will kind of just free ball, you know, free balling, put it that way.
We wanted it. We were planning to have a ton of fun on this episode. So
yeah, man. Yeah, this interesting. Let's get into this. How's that whiskey you're having over there? Because I was going to talk about this real quick.
Okay, so little doomed review. And also, I mean, through this podcast, the ideas that we've come up with and ran, like the doomed reviews, it's just another branch of us doing something. And it does. I mean, it's a little bit harder to schedule. Thank God we have Shane to watch all the Marvel stuff with. But I enjoy the beer reviews, man. Trying different beers, trying different whiskeys. The gun reviews have thousands of views. I mean, like I said to you earlier, it'd only be a dream if the swamp got drained and we didn't have politics to talk about anymore, and all we could do was test new guns. That'd be awesome.
And talk about pops and whatnot. But I mean, the Doom reviews were your idea, dude. So you should feel, you take some credit for that. I do most of the editing and whatnot, but Captain, you're the muse, bro. Yeah. You come up with some of the ideas and whatnot.
I came up with the Dr. Fauci commercial that we did, where it was you're 30% less likely to come into contact with fake news, and then the Dr. Fauci with the dancing. You're
my muse. I make the stuff, but you're like the inspiration.
I'm the think tank.
For me being creative behind stuff. So it's a good combo. But
thank you, man.
Cheers to that. If I
cheers, pal.
I would clink clank with you,
but all right, so. This was a complete random pickup. I wanted it to be super random, and it is straight bourbon whiskey redemption bourbon pre-prohibition whiskey revival, batch number 31. It's 80 proof. I gotta say, I didn't have high hopes for this. It was like a $30 bottle. I didn't want to break the bank on this one. And I would, for the price point, I wish you could smell this, because this is like, so my flavor in whiskey and bourbon is the honey, floral, toffee, the sweet side of it with the burn. And it's got a great smell for it. You take it too big of a breath, you'll smell the straight alcohol, but for the price point, it is smooth and it smells great. I could go for some more intense flavors, but since I don't have the intense flavors, I don't have the intense burn from the alcohol either. So I think this, when ice cold, is pretty good. I'm not going to give it a rating because you're not here and we can't do it together. So I'm just giving it my thumbs up. Redemption bourbon.
All right. I'm here. It's interesting. I'm here drinking the Game of Thrones House Stark whiskey that you got me on my wedding day. And, it's been a while now. It's been sitting out here in the shack in the back for a couple of years. I remember we had a conversation recently where you were like, that when you first got this, we treated this like a sacred cow.
Yeah,
we were not allowed to drink it unless it was some special moment. But now you're saying there's millions of bottles of this stuff.
There's still. Yeah, I could go to my liquor store down the street. And so like this weekend, we're going camping. They still have the Oban Night's Watch bottle. That came at, when did Game of Thrones end?
2 years now.
Yeah, they still, so House Lannister, House Stark, and the Oban, I see them all the time.
So you know what my theory is why these bottles, which were such hot, like hard to get items originally, are now so common. The ending of Game of Thrones sucked so much that it fucked up everything, even like their merchandising and whatnot. This bottle of booze went from like a collector's edition rare item to nobody wanted it anymore because
now
you can't get rid of them.
Yeah, dude, I don't think
good,
I paid.
Though. I'm sorry.
Oh yeah,
but it's still good. I'm enjoying it right now. Yeah. It's it's a good whiskey.
I don't think I paid $100 for that bottle, but I think right now, like if I went to the liquor store, it'd be like $45 after tax.
Yeah. I mean, it looks cool as fuck too. I'm not gonna lie. It's got the House Stark, the dire wolf on there and whatnot, and it comes in a pretty cool like case.
Yeah, the white one.
That I'm keeping because it's got like the House Stark. Dire wolf again, like etched in there, kind of like artwork. It looks pretty awesome. So,
funny enough, when we started the podcast in the shack, we had the House Stark flag back there.
Yeah, I still got it. Just we got the Two Doom Men thingy up there now.
Well, yeah, now we got to promote ourselves. Yeah,
there you go. Hey, Doom Nation, it's Gags here, and thank you for joining us for another episode of Two Doom Men. If you like what we are about, help us spread the message by subscribing to our channels and sharing the show with your friends. That's the best way we can get around big tech's algorithms. You can also help support the work we do by subscribing to our Patreon account at patreon.com/2doommen or by going to linktree.com/2doommen. That will bring you to everywhere our show has a presence. Thank you, and we hope you enjoy the show.
This country is doomed. It is doomed.
So what's going on, man? What I didn't I told you this week I was gonna kind of lay back and lay off like the notes and the news so we can kind of just hip fire like we used to do at the beginning. What do you want to talk about politically?
So I want to start off. It's episode 100. There's some more people to thank. I would love to thank Joe Biden, Kamala Harris, Nancy Pelosi, Dr. Fauci, how the House of Representatives, the state senators. Without your state governors, Andrew Cuomo, man, has given me some of my greatest moments behind this microphone. Like when he was pissed off that we lost 2 seats in the Senate because we didn't have enough people fill out the census. Well, if you didn't kill 13,000 senior citizens, we would have had enough people in the census to keep those seats. But you murdered them. So, I want to thank their hypocrisy, their criminal behavior, their need to push this broken agenda, their deftone approach. As shocking as it was to find out that dealing in politics would be so stressful, it's also brought me so much joy, because I always laugh when Cuomo would just double down. You could call it. You'd be like, Cuomo, there's a video of you harassing a woman. Nope, it's not me.
I'm Italian.
It's not me. Yeah. And then Jen Psaki, she can take any story and flip it around and throw it back in your face. And I have to thank these people for just their ruthless, criminalistic behavior. And I want to get started with, did you see, so we obviously, there's all the vaccine mandates, right? And the date keeps getting pushed back of when companies needed to enforce this, right?
January 4th now.
Yeah. So, I originally was going to get fired on December 8th, and now I'm going to get fired on January 4th. And it keeps getting pushed back, which is odd because the second they, enforce this, the lawsuits go through, it's unconstitutional, the agenda falls apart. Biden straight up said for corporations and companies not to listen to this federal court order and to mandate the vaccine anyway. Before you jump into this, I have one thing to say. We could probably put together a 10-minute video of members of Congress over the past 4 years telling Donald Trump, you are not above the law, Mr. President. So Joe Biden, you even said it. What the fuck?
Well, I mean, this should be no surprise, obviously, to anybody. This is also not the first time that Joe Biden is deciding to just completely ignore court rulings. He completely ignored a Supreme Court ruling on the eviction moratorium. So we're treading into dangerous waters here. Joe Biden doesn't look, and I'm not going to say behave, but he doesn't look like a dictator, like an angry, tyrannical monster of a leader. Do you know what I mean? Like his image. Well, his image is of like the grandpa who likes ice cream. Do you know what I mean? Like he doesn't look like a Hitler. But everything over the past few years and the past couple of months has taught me that the establishment and the government has become masters of co-opting good marketing strategies in order to get their way. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, if he looked like if he started growing out that mustache in the middle, like the whatever it's called, Charlie Chaplin.
And started pounding on the podium.
Right.
And
I mean,
shit.
and he has pounded on the podium here or there. I posted actually on our TikTok. I tried to post a video of him where he was talking about there's fewer democracies, fewer, and he was like slamming the podium and really behaving odd,
bit crazy.
And I stitched it together with a video of Hitler, and it got banned off. Could have had something to do with Hitler, maybe, I don't know. they've learned how to co-opt good feelings and like the old grandpa that eats ice cream.
Yeah.
It's a great strategy when you want to install complete authoritarianism. If you installed a lunatic psychopath screaming at each other and giving, you know, those crazy oratory speeches the way a dictator normally does, people are going to be shocked and be like, what the fuck's going on? But when you use things like grandpa likes ice cream and we're trying to do this for social justice, and you don't want to learn about real history and the plight of the African American and whatnot, when you use things like that, of course, like people who are good people and want to like do something good, like accidentally buy into that scam
Yeah.
of what they're selling. And it's frustrating that people are just not smart enough, as mean as that sounds, to just
No, it's the truth.
realize that.
Yeah. I heard someone say, and I'm paraphrasing, that Trump was bad for your emotions, but Trump was good for the country, where Biden is good for your emotions, but bad for the country. And everybody went out and voted with their emotions. That's why, because now Trump wasn't even the Hitler dictator that they made him out to be. Did he scream? Did he say outrageous and wild stuff? Yes. Was there plenty of times when I looked at him and went, wow, there's a reality TV star sitting in the Oval Office? Yes. I've always said that. He's always put his foot in his mouth like that. But, to go out there and vote with your emotions and anti-elect somebody, it didn't work either. Where you're, people put up this argument of, with the COVID mandates, the vaccine mandates, your freedoms aren't as important. Was your emotions as important as what's going on now? I always go to the crisis at the border. The wall's racist, but shoving 12,000 people in the hot Texas sun underneath an overpass, a bridge, is just as bad, in my opinion, if we're going to call the wall racist. So, but the real crazy part is, as tone deaf as the establishment is, and we're going to get into that, is that this marketing scheme they've created has allowed them to just openly break the laws. Everything they tried to nail Trump for, they get to do now because they're not Trump. Since I'm not Trump, I get to break the law.
Yeah, well, that's the iron law of woke projection that I always talk about, right? They're violating every norm of our constitutional republic, and I don't want to pretend like I know what I'm talking about that much, like I'm Professor Giordano or something, but they are, dude. This is something that me becoming way more libertarian. I always was libertarian, but I gave that book to you. I know you haven't had a chance to read it, but I read.
No, I lost that at the party you gave it to me at.
Yeah, that's all right. Yeah. We were partying, and I gave Cap a little book, and he lost it right off the bat because we were drinking and partying. But The Anatomy of the State by Murray Rothbard, and that has really opened my eyes a lot to like just the nature of the state and government, and like our government's like it was an old college try on like self-determination and people ruling themselves, like the people rule self-determination, like the people rule through a constitutional republic. But the book opened my eyes to, rules could just be or whatever like people make them to be.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So like I'll never forget a line in the book, and don't quote me exactly, but it was something along the lines of, if the Supreme Court ruling on whether something is constitutional or not, right? If they rule it's unconstitutional, that's it being like the ultimate say of this is unconstitutional. And if they rule on something being constitutional, well, then that's the ultimate say on it being correct and constitutional. And the book and Murray Rothbard's trying to make the point of either way, it's just up to the interpretation of a bunch of people.
Yeah.
And they're like, they are just humans like me and you. They could be wrong. They could be influenced. It doesn't actually really mean it's constitutional or not. So if they say something's constitutional, it might actually be unconstitutional, but they've now ruled it constitutional, setting a precedent. That book really opened my eyes about a lot of stuff. But I mean, I don't know where things are going to go with the Supreme Court and Joe Biden and his really fascist dictator tendencies, but he seems to just not care at all what the Supreme Court says. He's ignored
No,
it.
he doesn't.
He's now guided businesses, like to ignore the pause on his mandate. And look, I'm going to borrow from Dave Smith, who he was quoting Benito Mussolini. Benito Mussolini, a fellow Guinea of ours, a fascist dictator.
Nice Ginzaloon.
Gindaloon of Italy in during World War II. And he said, fascism is the merger between corporation and state. And what have you seen over the past few months more than a merger between corporation and state? That's literally exactly what we're seeing. Yep. And you have the president giving orders to corporations on how to behave and who to employ and what to do. And the corporation is saying, yes, sir, I will fire everybody that you tell me to because they didn't do what we want. Yep. I mean,
nothing's been passed. I mean, and the scary part is the leadership in these companies just blindly, okay, yes. Like, now like a big corporation like Coca-Cola or a big media corporation like, CNN or something, or maybe I'll even say Amazon, even though I have no proof of, Jeff Bezos being a bad guy or anything like that. I could see these big mega corporations, the CEO at the top rubbing elbows with members of the House and stuff like that. And they're like, we got this agenda to push through. But for the rest of these there's millions of corporations out there across the country. For the regular Joe Schmo contracting company, the regular Joe Schmo nationwide, retail store or something like that, to just blindly accept this, you have to bring in question of the leadership. I'm 32. I've been working since I was 15. There's always been someone in these companies that I've worked in that knows the rules and knows the laws and makes sure the company's not breaking any laws and stuff like that. There's no bill. This is just, not only was this mandate, it's a big PR stunt.
Originally, it was not constitutional right off the bat.
Exactly. And it's just a PR stunt to show how much power the president has, because there was no legislative oversight. There was no congressional oversight. There's no bill on the floor being presented. No one voted against it or in favor. The House didn't send it to the Senate to vote in favor for it or not. None of this happened. Every other law and rule, I blow a red light, I get a ticket. Why? Because there's some bill out there saying that you can't run red lights and, it's finable up to a certain amount of dollars. There's nothing on the books for these mandates. And you just have these corporations telling their employers, even a company of just 100 people, no, you need to get it, but it's not a law. No, mandate's a law, but no, a mandate's not a law. These leaders believe that this is ironclad American law, and it's not. Right. And it's scary. That's the scary thing, like even scarier than us losing our rights, that these people in leadership positions have no clue what's going on, but they're just going to take orders and follow.
Yeah. And let's be real, that's by design from the top, right?
Oh, yeah.
The top.
Well, that's why I say for some big giant corporation like Coca-Cola, yes, I could see by design how it comes down. But if you take, some contracting company that has 150 employees and has a workshop in New York, New Jersey, and Pennsylvania, you know what I'm saying? Like, this guy is a CEO of 150 people. He's mandating the vaccine to his employees because he thinks it's law, and it's not. But you're the leader.
Right. So what you're trying to say is that's almost like not acceptable for someone in a position of leadership, right?
Yeah.
What I'm going to tell you is that I think maybe we give people too much credit, or maybe not even that's the right word, but like not that many people in general, even if you're a very smart person controlling a company of 100 people, or that like involved in politics, that understands the process. That is a problem across the country in general. A lot of people don't know what's going on. They don't understand the process. They don't understand our separation of powers, how the government works at all. We're not experts either, but I feel like we have somewhat of an understanding. So
we got a better leg up than most people.
Yeah. So when someone in control, a CEO of a company of 100 people hears, well, OSHA's telling me this is what I have to do. Okay, I'm going to do it because I have to listen to what OSHA says, or I'm going to get fined, because it's OSHA. But they don't, that's it. That's like the very surface level. That's where they stop. I got an email and it was from an HR firm and it said the new mandates, how to deal with it via HR and like what to do. And I'm sitting there and I'm like, what? This is not law.
Yeah.
Why are HR firms already starting to like sell the what to do, like how to talk
That's
about,
what I'm saying, man.
and it's because I think you always tend to lean towards like things are more nefarious and whatnot. I think it's just complete ignorance. People don't understand that not only is this unconstitutional, but it is not actually law. And the fact that it's even on pause now because of a court, the president is just saying, don't worry about that. Just go ahead with it anyway, because he's playing off the fact that people don't understand the process or the
which makes it nefarious,
which makes it fascism. No,
it
doesn't make it. It makes it fascism.
Yeah,
he's going outside of our normal judicial process, our normal court, our normal law and order. He's going outside of that and being like, I said something, so just do it, and playing on people's ignorance of not knowing how like a constitutional republic is supposed to work. And people will go along with it. Why? Because he's the nice grandpa who eats ice cream, and it doesn't seem like a tyrannical monster, unless you really dig into the details of it.
Well, I mean, what we just talked about can touch upon several topics that I wanted to talk about.
Whatever you want.
I'll let you choose.
No, you all right. You spell them
well,
out.
let me. Okay, so Joe Biden and Kamala Harris's approval rating. What happened last week? Today is November 9th, so we didn't really get to cover the November 2nd elections, but
Sure.
I have a path that I want to take that down. Or Joe Biden's daughter's diary.
Those are all interesting. I'm going to go with the elections. I don't know what you really want to talk about regarding their low poll numbers. They suck. That's it. That's it. We hit that one. They both suck. Everyone,
well, I get, I'll be able to tie it in quickly. So my point is, what I wanted to talk about with the elections is big turnout for a red wave last week on November 2nd. And the fallout from the Democrats is probably even funnier and more enjoyable than actually watching the Democrats lose in these races.
Yeah, I agree.
Because so the things I've been seeing on the media have just been spectacular. AOC actually said that these Democrats lost because they had too moderate of a message to send out there. I now have to believe that AOC is controlled opposition from the opposite point of the view, because I
like
truly,
from the Republican point of view.
Yeah. From like a white hat point of view, maybe she was put into this position to like just gain as much tension in that focus. I can't imagine someone's this stupid that the "Don't Texas My Virginia" slogan didn't work, that the guy who said "You don't own your children, the schools do, we'll teach them what you want, what we want," didn't win the fucking election. And then they voted in a black woman as lieutenant governor, and they went right away to white supremacists. All of a sudden, the Democrats' idea of white supremacy just got way more diverse out of nowhere because they have to incorporate this woman. It all fell apart, and their message is just such garbage, and they're so tone deaf that they can't see that they lost all these races because of their piss poor policies. The reason we have a show is their piss poor policies, their hypocrisy, their criminal behavior, their disregard for everything. And they're shocked that they're losing races because of white supremacy.
Yeah.
It's been a beautiful time.
Yeah, I think did we talk about this on the last episode? I think it was the Unfit Statesman who said it. He goes, white supremacy is the move, man. It's very inclusive because it's taken in all sorts of races, and into the fold to join it. Yeah. I mean, let's talk about those races, right? Obviously, Glenn Youngkin won in Virginia, and that was a big competition in general because Virginia is an important place. Let's just say because it's where Washington D.C. is, right? And that's where
is Virginia a swing state? I'm sorry.
I think so. I think I guess I would say yes. Think back, dude. Virginia was Richmond, Virginia was the capital of the South in the Civil War. Yeah. And but it was Republican. I mean, it was Democrat for a while now, a couple of years. So I guess you could say it's somewhat of a swing state. But I know, like the past couple of weeks, man. I've been telling you specifically, like, dude, the tide's turning. Like, these losers are gonna lose. Like, people are getting tired of this shit. People are waking up, and you had like your first litmus test that just occurred. And is Glenn Youngkin going to be the best governor of all time?
No.
He's going to be a champion of civil liberties and whatnot? I doubt it. I don't know that much about him. But is he going to fucking tell you that he owns your children and that he's going to force hateful ideology upon them in schools? No. So, I mean, of course people are going to go with him over a guy who, like you said, literally was fucking saying the state is, owns your children and will decide what to teach them, not the parents. It's up to the state. Who in their right fucking minds? I mean, some people maybe.
How do you even justify that?
There are some crazy parents out there who seem to just do what the state tells. But yeah, man, no, people don't like that. What the fuck are the Democrats thinking? And they doubled down after.
Yeah.
I saw a stat that like one of the highest, I forgot what it was, but it was like a neighborhood in Virginia that's like one of the most highly populated African-American neighborhoods completely flipped and voted for Glenn Youngkin. Why? Because they don't want this shit either. I'm not speaking for every single person, but man, who the fuck wants to be taught hateful ideology and told they have no say in their children's education and that their children belong to the state? And then for them, like I said, for them to go and double down on it. What the fuck is going on? What are they thinking?
I've been, how do you justify these actions? And the balls to come out and say that you lost because you're too moderate. We want more. That's why AOC is, I mean, in New York, she'll win. So in her area, it's obviously very brainwashed. But I mean, I guess Virginia too would be, but like, to think that what he was saying is too moderate, what's your real end game then? Because it must be, I think, truly wild.
I think maybe AOC is talking in terms of like socialism and social programs.
Yeah, she's
trying to say that Terry McAuliffe is not advocating enough for like socialism, like free this, free that, and whatever. Instead, he was doing what he was doing what the establishment does, which is play the woke politics shit. And I mean, AOC does that too, but AOC does.
She's a wild card.
Yes, she does push like the socialist stuff. I don't know if she believes it or not, or what the deal is there, but I think that's what she was trying to get at, is that they're not pushing like social programs, which are very popular for people because, of course, when you tell people you're going to give them free shit and people don't understand economics
and they're just stupid. Yeah.
They don't understand how inflation and whatnot works. Of course, people like the idea of raising the minimum wage. And I used to right before I got red pilled by Two Doomed Men podcast, you know what I mean? And got exposed to Austrian economics and all this free shit. Like free shit, I mean by like liberty, freedom, not like free stuff. Like here's something for free. There ain't nothing for free, folks. I'm just going to put that out there. Everything is, someone pays the price for everything. Even if you're fucking handing out rocks, someone picked them up. It's not like they just magically floated into your fucking hands. So I don't know, dude. I think that's what AOC meant in terms of like policy. I don't think she necessarily meant critical race theory. I mean, she could have. I mean, it's funny to look at the reaction afterwards. I think it was MSNBC or no, it was CNN.
Oh, I think I know what
race theory. They made this about critical race theory, and critical race theory doesn't exist. And then
I'm so glad you said that.
And then on MSNBC, it's like critical race theory is not being taught in schools. Wait, what do you mean? It doesn't exist. How could it not? How could it not be getting taught in schools
if it doesn't exist.
And then if it doesn't exist, and so, okay, here's the logic. I mean, I know everyone's made this point a million times. If it doesn't exist, or if it's not being taught in schools, why do you care if it's banned?
Yes.
What?
Yes.
Like,
why is it called history then?
Yeah. Well, I think I told you when we were talking about this through text. I was like, look, Cap, I'm gonna tell you, I'm gonna ban unicorns.
Yeah.
Do you give a fuck if I say I'm gonna ban unicorns?
No, because unicorns aren't real.
Exactly. Right. That's the logic here. So you know what? Let us ban it because it's not being taught and it doesn't exist. It doesn't exist. And it's not being taught. Let us ban it.
Yeah. And that's this deftone behavior of the left and the establishment that is losing them these races. And where was I? So they said that it wasn't real. If it's not real, why is the Department of Justice ready to have the FBI go after parents for getting too angry in school board meetings because their schools are teaching their kids critical race theory? That's a weird one if it's not real. And then on top of it, I just lost my train of thought. It wouldn't be episode 100 if I didn't lose my train of thought.
That's part of the podcast.
Oh, son of a bitch. They said it wasn't real. Oh, I know what we were talking about. Okay, so the best headline was November 3rd, CNN, Democrats misjudged the mood of the nation. You didn't even bother taking into consideration the mood of the nation. Are you kidding me? Because if you considered the mood of the nation, listen, critical race theory and the parents versus the school boards, and I'm not trying to set it up like it's some big fight. These are heated debates. There's no physical fights going on. The only crazy thing we've seen is these school board meetings have parents arrested. As far as I know, I've never seen, or we've never seen, any of these parents really step out of bounds.
There's no epidemic of parents attacking the school boards with physical violence. It'd be all over social media. We would have seen it.
Right. So you misjudged the mood of the nation. No, you didn't take in consideration, because if you were to judge the mood, you know, it's not just parents in New York or just parents in Texas or just parents in Oklahoma who are at these school board meetings screaming about, we don't want our kids learning critical race theory. It's nationwide. There's hundreds and thousands of parents. I look in my local newspaper, and in the counties around Westchester counties, they're talking about parents going after school boards in local counties. This isn't this goes from local to state to national. You misjudged the mood. You never even listened to the people.
And them saying, yeah, misjudge the mood is cover, right?
Yeah.
No, they have no intention to listen to the mood. It's just, that's what, the party in charge, the Democrats, only want their way or the highway. They only want to push their agenda, and they'll use any wordplay, any mental gymnastics they can use in order to achieve that. Go ahead. What you were going to say before? Sorry.
It's the power of now. They just need to have whatever is going to gain them power right now is what they want in front of them.
Right.
But yeah, look, I mean, they go ahead.
Real quick. Let me interject. I went and vote in my local town, a little northern Connecticut, rural town, somewhat, suburban town, kind of. And I told you, dude, I ain't ever seen more people in this town in one place at once than I did on election day. And it wasn't that, it's a small town, right? It ain't that like divisive or between town.
It's hard for you to give a perspective because, like, I mean, you're one of my best friends. Like, I know where you live. Like, it's a small town. Like, people don't have the same values, and you know what I mean. Like, your town doesn't have the same issues my town has, and our towns don't have the same issues Brooklyn has. You know what I mean? Right. Like, and you are even further disconnected from Brooklyn.
Right. But I'm trying to make the point of like my little local town government, right? Like, do the Republicans and Democrats hate each other to the level that like Donald Trump and Joe Biden hate each other? No, they definitely don't. They're more willing, I'd say, on a local
Right.
level, probably to work together than like at a national level, right? The Republicans won every single seat, right, in my little local town. They flipped every seat that was available that they ran against a Democrat. The Republicans won. It was funny because it was like row A and row B. Row A was all the Democrats, and row B was all the Republicans. And I saw the final tally on like the Connecticut state, whatever. It was like a literal written thing, and literally it was a sweep across the board. Every Republican that ran against a Democrat for whatever position in the little town won, and by a lot. It wasn't by a little.
Yeah.
So I felt it in the moment when I went to go vote. No one even said what they're. No one talked politics.
Whoever
when I
does
went to go vote. It was just a lot of people, and I had the vibe though that people were there for a reason. Like something happened, and there's a reason why everyone's turning out to vote in such numbers. And I'm like, I kind of feel like something's about to shift here majorly, and it did.
Yeah.
And that is the story, I guess you could say, across most of the country. And it doesn't mean that those Republicans in my little local town or
are these saviors,
or whoever, a lot of libertarians actually won some elections too where they ran. It doesn't mean all these people are your fucking savior. It just means people are tired of what's going on, and people are waking the fuck up. So my message here, I want to try and say is like, if you're feeling like sometimes we're too negative, maybe, I guess, like news is negative, even the podcast is negative, right? No, I feel like the tide is turning.
Yep.
And does that mean that these people are going to be the best leaders? No, but we're going to maybe kick out.
Policy's going to change.
Yeah, and we're going to maybe start to fucking kick out the authoritarian psychopaths who are in charge, and put some people in place who are at least open to discussion, and we can maybe influence somewhat more than these fucking lunatics, dude.
Mm-hmm. Well, you said something really just intelligent after our last.
Thank you.
Just I wanted to say profound, but I can't give you that much. After our last episode with Alan from The Great Divide, when we talked about Taiwan, and he had the view of, we need to go in there the American military way, go in there and protect them and show American strength. You, who gives a fuck about Taiwan? You're not my goddamn problem. Me, Taiwan's not my goddamn problem. But if we don't go in there and fight this war, we don't help our ally Japan. What type of ripple effect is it? Three completely different point of views. But here are three people that could sit down and hash this out. And eventually, the people who can't hash it out will no longer be part of the problem, no longer be part of the conversation.
Right.
The COVIDian branch members of the Holy Church of Fauci, who don't want to hear anything outside of vaccination, don't want to hear anything of, natural immunity. And I'm in YouTube, I'm not saying the vaccine doesn't work, so calm your nipples. But you know what I mean? Like, sooner or later, you're not going to be part of the conversation. The people who read the MSNBC article that said inflation is a good thing, and that there's some loon out there right now arguing with someone who probably has a master's degree in economics saying, no, inflation's great for us, this is what we need. You're not going to be part of the conversation anymore. The thing that I've been really harping on and telling anyone that I can tell is, it's all a sham. This entire podcast has been proving the hypocrisy, of all these governors, all these little Mussolini dictators of this administration. It's all a sham, because you can't lie about culture. Italy has its own culture. Italy has amazing, delicious, tasty food. If you're a garbage, piss poor chef, is your restaurant going to survive in any town in Italy? No. You know what I mean? Because only the best chefs are going to be able to work and run and operate a successful Italian restaurant in Italy. So when you come over here to America and look at some of our culture, sports, American sports, you know, we divide ourselves. We'll fight people who are Boston Red Sox fans and Patriot and Philadelphia Eagles fans just because we're Giants and Yankees fans. You know, so you look at our culture, NASCAR, football games, baseball games, Trump won banners, let's go Brandon, fuck Joe Biden,
hot dogs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, you can't tell me Joe Biden's the most popular president ever when every stadium in different states, blue states, red states, are chanting, let's go Brandon. You can't tell me he's the most popular president when the number one song on iTunes is called Let's Go Brandon. You can't tell me he's the most popular when YouTube bans the number one song on iTunes because it's making fun of the president.
Or at least, yeah, take it off the top charts, right?
You know what I'm saying? Like,
they just removed it off the top
yes,
chart. Yeah.
this is American culture, and this is what the culture is showing. We're tired of these policies. It's not. I was reading an article on Fox and it said blinders still on, and it was like Biden complaining that like the message isn't getting through. No, the one thing that people don't understand in society anymore is if you ask somebody, a stranger, something, you automatically assume they're going to say yes to you. You're on a train, you're on the phone, and the two people in front of you are talking. Me and you are sitting next to each other on a train, and we're talking about our day, you know, full volume. We're on a train, public space, but the woman behind us is on her phone, leans in and says, can you two be quiet? I'm on the phone. No, we have the right to say no. Your life and our lives are nowhere connected. You are a stranger to me. I don't owe you anything, and you don't owe me anything. No, we will not be quiet because I'm having a conversation with my friend. You continue your conversation with your friend on the phone in your own world. People don't understand that, like, the opposing party can say no. Right. You know what I'm saying? Like they automatically assume. So for this administration and the establishment to be like, oh, you're not getting the message. No, we're getting the message. Yeah. We're rejecting the message. Right. I'm sorry that we're rejecting this.
Right.
But no, you know what I mean? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like,
and yes, I know exactly what you're saying. And the beauty of America is that lady who's telling you, you have to be quiet when I'm on the phone, you know, because I'm on the phone right now in this public space. No, bitch. I don't got to do anything you say, but I can choose to be quiet by my own volition as a courtesy to you because I made that decision on my own. However, you cannot mandate me to be quiet in a public place. So now, you know, zoom out to the rest of the country. I have no problem with people of their own volition choosing to do whatever they want. You want to go get vaccinated? Fine, whatever.
You want to put your 5-year-old child at the front of the line, jab them up, go for it.
Of your own, whatever decision you want, because I'm a liberty-loving motherfucker, right? Whatever you want to do, even if I think it's fucking dumb, go right ahead and do it. But you can't come and tell me I have to do it or whatnot. You kind of spun it from like the negative aspect of I got no fucking nothing to do with you. It don't matter what you want to do, whatnot. Yeah. Fine. And I agree with that too. If you want to be like a Krabby Patty, some old guy, like get off my lawn. Yeah, you have every right to do that. But you could also choose of your own volition to do something for someone else. I'm not arguing. I'm just saying, like, I'm not arguing that we can't help people or we can't go do something for someone else. Yes, anybody can if you want to. What I'm saying is that it ain't the fucking state's place to tell you have to do that or not.
Exactly. I mean, like I've gotten into arguments with people and they're like, I can't believe you would put your personal freedoms ahead of science. Yes, I would put my personal free. See, I actually have
real quick. That's fucking bullshit because you were feeling sick the other day, right? Yeah. And you texted me and you're like, dude, I don't feel good. I'm not going to come over because I don't want to risk giving something to you and your wife, etc. Yeah. You could have been like, fuck these guys. I'm putting my personal freedom over everything. And I'm going to, we wanted to go hunting. I want to go hunting. I'm going to go anywhere. I don't care if I get everybody sick. No, you didn't. Right? Yeah. You made your own. I didn't tell you can't come or you can't do this or you can't do that. I didn't say anything. You're the one who decided of your own volition to do that. So that's fucking bullshit to begin with. But go ahead.
Yeah. So this is a post I had on my Facebook, my personal one. Let the gays get married. Let the rednecks have their guns. Let the atheists be atheists. Let the Christians be Christians. America is all about freedom. Freedom to live your life as you please. So smoke a bowl, eat a greasy burger, shoot your guns, praise Jesus, and wish those two fellas next door a happy honeymoon. It's only
and suck a cock.
Yeah, it's only when people force their ways on others that the problem begins. It never ceases to amaze me how many full-grown adults don't understand this. I had that argument with that nurse a few weeks ago. You want to be vaccinated and you want to be
rehash this for us for the listeners, because
so I ran into this nurse and we got into this vaccine conversation, and I didn't want to get into it, and I still had respect for her because she's a nurse, and I would like to assume and believe that she knows more about the medical world and how things work than I do, and I can promise you she still does. But she went on, and this always happens to me, whether it's in person or on social media. I try to be super respectful with anybody who is combatant with me. Well, I'm glad you think this way, and I don't mean any disrespect. I respect your opinion, but this is how I feel, and I want to live my life this way. Oh, well, while you were home hiding from COVID, I was watching all these people die day in and day out. I get that, but if I could have went to work, I would have went to work as well. But it doesn't mean I'm not playing down what you witnessed, but don't play down what I went through. And then it got into that, like, I have no respect for anybody who would put their it was like a line, right? It was like Dr. Fauci was on the other end of
you know what that is? You know what that is? That's societal pressure that has been applied by government, has infected someone in order to cause division between two people.
Yeah.
So
because she was speaking right out of Fauci's mouth,
right,
man.
Right. And it's no like disrespect to that woman or whoever. It's the game. That's the game the government plays, right? That is an interaction that the government wants. They want people to be divided. And you honestly tried to bridge the gap, nicely if you can. But that person's just, I guess, bought into the propaganda. Don't mean they're a bad person.
Yeah.
They've just bought into the divisiveness of the government too hard.
It's the tribalism. I had this, it's always where I work, without giving up too much of where I work. There's a lot of wealthy people that come through, and I talk to very wealthy people every day, and I interact with them. And some of them, I could tell they're not worth a single penny that they own. And those are usually the people that came from money. And then there's people who made their money, who worked from the assistant up and up and up, and now the VP and rolling in dough. And those are always the greatest people to talk to, because they're in their late 40s, early 50s, mid 50s. They could still relate to being, in their early 30s. They still remember their late 20s. And they remember that, they moved out and had that first little shitty apartment. And now they got this 10-bedroom mansion in Westchester, and the house in Utah, and the apartment in Miami, and all that shit. And I got into this great conversation. And it's always strange when like one of these like people come in and they sniff out that I'm Republican, and they're like, yeah, I don't want this vaccine either. Like, can we get ivermectin? I don't know what to do. I don't want to get my kids vaccinated. And it's always such a fun time when that comes in, because I get to have these great conversations. And this woman that I brought up before, we were talking, and I was like, she was even like, the media just wants us to fight each other. She's like, it's wrong. She's like, my party. Now she's an older woman. So when she was, when she was in her 20s, it was, I want to say it was, I don't want to like age her and be wrong, but she's never going to listen to the show, so it doesn't matter. Like when she was in her 20s, it was probably like the mid to late 70s, the peace, love, and, all that stuff.
Yeah,
and
the hippie time.
Yeah. And then going through Vietnam and being on the Democratic side and being against the war and all this stuff. She was like, my side never wanted war. We never wanted to exclude anyone. She's like, my party left me. And I was like, it's not it, they did it by design. They did it for power, they did it for control. What people need to understand is once you drop this tribalistic bullshit, it becomes so much easier. Because as hardcore of I won't say I'm a hardcore Republican, as hardcore of a Trump guy that I am, if some Democrat came along in the 2024 election and Trump decided to run, and the Democrat just truly had a better history, because that's something I'll take into effect now, but if he just had better policies,
like a Tulsi Gabbard, maybe
I know you love her, but like,
I don't love her, but yeah, I know.
But you know what I mean? Like if a Democrat came along, forget Trump, Ron DeSantis versus Democrat A, this Democrat comes along and they have better policies, and I align with 9 out of 10 things they said, and I'm only aligned with 7 out of 10 things that DeSantis said, I have no problem voting across party lines. We need to start voting for what's better for America and not what's better for me. It's a weird scenario we're in, because right now we need to protect our individual freedoms. Yes, I want to get vaccinated. Cool, go get vaccinated. But when we're in that poll booth, when we're voting in that poll booth, what's better for everybody? The guy that's going to make us feel better and he's going to poop his pants at the Vatican as gas prices go through the roof, or the brash guy, the rash guy who's going to say something on Twitter that's going to piss us off, but China's not going to, invade Taiwan. Russia's not going to open up another pipeline. Gas prices aren't going to go through the roof. We're not going to have an invasion at the South Pole. You know what I mean? Like, it's weird. When we vote, we have to think collectively almost what's going to be good for all of us next. Whereas what's coming down the pipeline, we need to be more individual.
Yeah, well, I think the answer to that is
libertarianism.
What's going to protect, like our community, as a whole. Vote. Who are we going to vote for? Like, what ideal are we going to vote for that's going to protect this this commune that we call America? Individualism.
Yeah.
Right. We have to vote like protecting the commune. Individualism is going to protect the commune, right? Because if everyone is worried about themselves instead of some other, foreign object that's like vague and you can't really understand the repercussions or whatever it is you're thinking about, like climate change or something like that. Instead, if I'm worried about, I think maybe my rights shouldn't be infringed upon. If every single person thinks that way, that's everybody thinking in unison, right? So now everybody's rights are not being infringed upon, and the commune's rights are not going to be infringed upon. So that's the way to go, dude. And again, we're not going to probably, like, if Trump runs again, he's not the best guy in terms of like protecting your individual rights. But in terms of Joe Biden, like I said before, he's a fucking saint. Name me, I mean, like, whatever you want to say about Trump, I don't remember him ever doing something that would directly have affected my life. I could possibly lose my job or something like that because of him. What did he do? He banned certain Muslim countries from coming into America. That's kind of fucked up. But did that affect like American people's life?
Was the shelves empty? Was Thanksgiving dinner now 10 times more than it was last year?
Right. He told Kim Jong-un to go fuck himself multiple times. Did he nuke us? No. So that didn't really affect me in any way whatsoever. But this guy who's in charge now is literally doing a whole bunch of shit that you feel on a personal level in your own life. So, I mean, I don't know, man. People need to really just like do a self-evaluation of what's important, and that seems to be lacking, but maybe not, right? Because we saw a little bit of a backlash. Now, I hope it's not one thing. Just to go back to like the elections that just happened, I hope it's not a like one and done backlash, like, because our elections tend to be like we swing one way too far, and then the next election it swings back the other way too far because it's a reaction to the other one, and then after that it goes back the other way and back the other way. I hope what do I know? But I hope this one was really like, okay, a lot of people realize that things are going in the wrong direction, and they're going to turn out again in 2022 and in 2024 and be invested in what the fuck's going on. People have asked us, what can we do? Like, what could you do? Something. Do something. Do a podcast. Go
do research.
Dude, we were talking about this past week. Like, one of the things that annoys the fuck out of me is Trump constantly saying everything's rigged. Everything's rigged. I'm not saying that there shouldn't be like election integrity and that you can't audit an election. I'm all for that. Go and do what you want, but stop. Like, you're deterring people from going to vote by telling them it's rigged, because people can be like, that's rigged. What difference does it make? My vote doesn't matter. No, if you want to like oppose tyranny, you got to try every fucking method that possibly exists, even ones that you don't think work, because we can't afford to not try ones that don't work, right? Remember when me and you were out here in the backyard and we were talking about Dave Chappelle and how he said that Twitter ain't real life, so it doesn't matter. And I said, well, I ain't willing to take the chance that it ain't real life. That's why I'm on Twitter with a fucking catapult. And I'm flinging flaming, balls of tar at other people, because look, I know some people, some conservatives, some libertarians are pretty active in the Twitter sphere, but some conservatives don't really give a fuck because they have that mentality that Chappelle has. It ain't real life. But
that's how I view it.
Right. And you're not on Twitter, right? But I'm there.
My Twitter account's the podcast page, and I don't even tweet off of it.
Right. I'm out there literally at war with people, throughout the day. And the reason why is because I feel like there's people at war with us on Twitter, right? So even if it's not real, someone has to do it, as dumb as it might fucking sound. I'm not willing to take that risk. And going back to what Chappelle said about how Twitter ain't real, I felt he contradicted himself a little bit, because the story he was telling was about his transgender friend who killed themselves because she was bullied by other transgender people
on Twitter
who were bullying her for defending Chappelle. So actions on Twitter influenced her to kill herself in real life. So I felt like maybe he kind of contradicted himself a little bit about that. So
it shouldn't, but I mean, that's from my point of view.
Shouldn't, and does.
Man, I have
two different things. Go for it.
I had so many to like. So you said we need to vote individually, what's best for the commune and stuff. And if we're all on the same mind, I think we're seeing that. I think that's what we saw in this last little election, that people are voting in unison. We are starting, I'm not saying a hive mind, but like starting to get all on the same page here, where we're like, no, we don't. I'm glad you want to protect us with the vaccine. I'm glad you think this is a form of teaching history, but we don't. And we are banding together, and this is what we want. And the establishment isn't getting that message. That's why they're misjudging the mood.
Shared values of individualism are a good thing.
Yeah. And then do I think this could be a one and done? Yes, I do, because I will never underestimate the masses. I don't think it's going to be a one and done, because the establishment is very poor. First off, they're tone deaf. We've already acknowledged that. They're very poor at taking a shot on the chin. January 6th, whether the FBI was behind it, whether Trump was behind it, whatever happened, people poo-pooed on their front lawn, and Congress and Washington was not having that. Razor wire fences they let up for a whole summer. They had no problem with people rioting, looting, and burning down buildings. And the only people they wanted to jail were people like Kyle Rittenhouse. You know what I mean? For a whole summer, they let this shit go. But 15-20 minutes of chaos in the Capitol building, this is the worst thing since Pearl Harbor. So
worse.
Yeah, exactly. So they're terrible. As good as they are with PR and spinning things, they're terrible at mismanaging their personal losses. They have a ton of infighting now. There's going to be less voting in unison in the party, but they're gonna double down. It's their playbook. It's their way. It's their nature. So eventually they're going to double down on critical race theory. They're going to double down on vaccine mandates. They're going to double down on vaccinating the children. They're going to double down on possibly closing another gas pipeline. They're going to double down on how inflation's good. They're going to double down on everything Americans are getting tired of. And in 2022 is going to come around. And unless those are rigged, or so, a lot of like the conspiracy pages that I follow and stuff, right away, they were like, this is a great win for us, but I can promise you, watch out for next November 2022. Leading up to it, there'll be another corona variant coming out. There'll be some type of, mass chaos going on so we can interrupt the election. So don't be surprised if we don't see something, some fuckery afoot during the next election, because they're so tone deaf.
Propaganda campaign, something like that.
They're so tone deaf that they'll double down on all these piss poor policies because you're not getting the message. Oh, okay, I'm too stupid to understand what the message is. That's why I'm voting against it. That's why I don't think we'll see a one and done. I think minus there being some foul play and some election rigging and fraud and stuff like that, I think we'll see another red wave come. But the only problem is then we'll swing too far to the right, and then we'll be in every war, and our military contractors will be making billions and trillions.
Right. My point was
it's not going to affect your pocket.
Well, it will, right? Because they're going to print more money in order to fund more wars. But my point was, we can at least get to the table maybe with people who support that sort of ideology. Maybe we can't get to the table with like George Bush, but we could get to the table with like Alan Jacoby, and we could debate things that way. They're not interested, dude, in representing people.
No.
They're interested in their agenda, right? And they just present their agenda as if it's the people's agenda.
And then they lied about the amount of people who want it.
Yeah. So that's why, dude. They don't care about, they're totalitarians, they're fascists. They don't care about constitutional republic or anything like that. It's my way or the highway. Don't listen to the Supreme Court. Don't listen to those old antiquated. We don't need the filibuster. Get rid of that thing.
When Trump was in office, we needed all that.
Right. But now we don't. When Trump, now we need to expand the Supreme Court. Now we need to just not listen to, you know what I mean? They're not interested in any of that.
Power of now.
What I hope happens, right, is, and I think you're starting to see happen, is I heard this from, I think it was Michael Malice. I think you kind of know who Michael Malice is, maybe.
Probably.
Right? He's an anarchist, libertarian guy. He's from the Soviet Union originally. He lives now in America a little bit older. I think he was born in the Soviet Union, and he talks about how like the Soviet Union collapsed. The Soviet Union collapsed pretty peacefully. Right? There was no civil war. There was no violence in the streets. One day it was the Soviet Union, and the next it just wasn't. Right? And he says it's because they lied and they kept doing things that the people didn't want for such a long time that eventually people were just like, nah.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like the government came and told you, well, no, you have to do this. And everybody was just like, don't listen to these guys. You know what I mean? And literally everyone did that. And all of a sudden, the Soviet Union no longer existed because no one believed in it anymore. No one believed in the mission. So my point here is the establishment and all this horse shit that they're trying to sell everybody. We just kind of saw a lot of people, that's all bullshit. We don't believe in that. All it takes is people to just not believe in something for it to no longer exist.
Yeah.
Just like all it takes is for the Constitution. The Constitution only exists because people believe that there is this supreme law of the land, right? But you've seen the government all the time just fucking makes up shit and just, supersedes the Constitution. That's only because life is whatever humans make it out to be. And if people don't believe in that sort of bullshit anymore, then it doesn't exist. So if they want to keep selling this totalitarian, you have to do this and you have to do that, and everybody's racist, and no one believes it anymore, it just kind of goes away.
Yeah. Hey, all the Southwest airline pilots were like, no, we're not getting the vaccine. And then they grounded all the flights. And then, okay, but there's no more mandate.
Right. All it takes is people just not to do it. Now they tell you to do something. No,
Yeah.
And if everybody just says no, we just continue to go along our lives. And those people who are telling you no have no power. It's like an illusion of power. The king only has power because people believe the king has power. You know what I mean?
Anytime people ask me, how much longer do you think we need to wear these masks? Once we all say, no, I'm not going to wear a mask anymore, that's the day we don't need to wear the mask. Yeah. If you ran a business and 500 people showed up and you had a sign on the door that you said you need to wear a mask, and all 500 people walked into that store without a mask, what are you going to do? Turn away all that money? Or are you just going to let business go on as usual? Doesn't take rocket science.
Next time someone asks you, how much longer do we have to do this coronavirus stuff? Do we have to wear these masks? Ask them, I don't know, ask the government. See if they got any plan. They don't, right? They have zero plan of this is what we have to do to get out of this pandemic. No. There is no plan. They have not mentioned any plan. There is no guidelines to how to get out of this thing, that if we hit this certain quota or whatever, that will mean that we could go back to normal. No. There is nothing. There is nothing. That should tell you something itself right there. I'm not saying
2 weeks to flatten a curve.
Right.
2 weeks
to no plan. There's no plan. It's this is the way it's going to be forever. And I ain't saying don't get vaccinated. I ain't saying don't wear a mask. You do what you want. I'm just saying there is no plan to go back to normal by the government's standards of normal. So you know how we go back to normal? We just do.
Yeah. And people can't grasp that.
Right.
People can't grasp it. Because even if tomorrow we woke up and Fauci was in cuffs and Biden was in cuffs and crimes against humanity and China released a bioweapon and it was all planned and from this day forward it's safe to go on, but there would still be a portion of the population that'd be like, no, need my mask. I can't live any other way now. It just you know.
I think that portion is shrinking though. I think the way this thing is laid out is not conducive to people complying forever.
Yeah.
Like you're talking about, and again, I'm all for people making their own decision and doing what they want. You should probably go see your doctor, right?
Well, if your doctor tells you otherwise, they might fucking revoke their license. So
maybe. But I think just the way like this is laid out, that it seems basically that you have to be injected for your entire life. I said this back on Sergeant of Samurai. I can't see it. I can't see human beings. Some will, of course, but in mass, I can't see people saying, okay, everyone, we're all just going to get injected forever. And that's it.
Every 6 months, another booster shot. Yeah.
The more times you ask people to do something and tell them this is the last time and it's not, the
more you lose,
the less people are going to believe it each and every time. Until then, everybody starts believing the people that were at the beginning, saying, "Wait, this is all bullshit."
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying. So it's baked into the cake. Let's put it that way. It's not a believable story that's being sold here.
No, you're right. So let's move on to one more topic that I was excited to talk about. Kyle Rittenhouse. So one thing that I've really enjoyed over the past 100 episodes of the Two Do Men podcast is that we keep receipts on things. We call things out. We see things unfold way before the media does, way before the media acknowledges it. And it's not that we necessarily kept a receipt on old Kyle, but
we haven't really spoke about him much.
Yeah. We haven't spoke about him much in a long time, but when it happened, I know we spoke about him, but I am almost positive, without even going back and checking that podcast, we knew, the two of us, untrained professionals, no law degree, no police training, no nothing, just two dummies doing a podcast
on YouTube.
Yeah. We knew that was self-defense. And let's catch everybody up to speed on what's going on with good old Kyle, because I can't imagine this trial is going to go on much longer.
Yeah, the trial has begun for Kyle Rittenhouse's situation.
Yeah,
and it's been a fucking laugher. It's been a laugher. And you know, I'm not, like I said, like you said, we ain't lawyers. I don't understand everything about how like law proceedings and all this shit works. And I'm not going to say that the state doesn't have anything on him either. Right. I'm sure there's, a couple things here and there that he did that were
Hey,
illegal technically.
he
Right?
crossed state borders with
No, he didn't. No, he didn't.
No?
See, that is a misconception. He was
I
given
never
that
even
gun. He was given that gun by
Oh,
someone
okay.
who lived in Wisconsin. So he did not. That's not like he.
See, I never even
Yes,
saw
that's-
that.
Right. But again, we're not that in depth into the case. We're not fucking legal experts. But that is not true. I know that's a lot of thing. That's one thing. Most people be like, oh, he crossed state lines with a gun, and that he should be punished for that. Well, actually, he didn't. And then you could go further, a step further for me. I don't believe in that bullshit anyway, because that's an infringement on the Second Amendment. But if we're going to talk about like laws and whatnot, and like the statutes or whatever, I'm sure there are some things that he did here that he shouldn't have done. But the original narrative around this whole thing, let me start here, and then you could go on to it, was that he was a white nationalist that killed a bunch of black people, and he should be thrown in jail for the rest of his life for murder. And when I saw this at the onset, I said, what? All the people that he shot were not black.
Yeah.
Not one person was black. The original riot was over
George Floyd.
No, it wasn't over George Floyd. It was over something that happened in Kenosha. I think it was maybe Jacob Blake, maybe.
Yeah, we had the episode
Yeah.
on him as well. Yeah.
And Kyle went there because someone wanted to make money defending stores, right? Because people were rioting, and the kid wanted to make money, and he got caught up in the streets, and had people attacked him, and he had to defend himself, and I believe he killed some. I don't even know the exact.
I think he killed 2 people and shot the third one.
And shot Grosswitz or whatever his name is. This fucking
The lone survivor.
Yeah, the lone survivor. Right. There you go. The lone survivor. Why this case is even important, in my opinion, is because it's a referendum and an attack on the idea of self-defense. And that's all it is. That's literally all it is. They're trying to paint self-defense as white nationalism. As we've said a million times, gun laws make no sense. They're infringement on your like constitutional rights, and the way they want to defund the police and whatnot, they literally just want you to fucking lay down, die. And be steamrolled by our narrative, our ideals. And look, man, you can say what you want about Kyle Rittenhouse. He just said, no, I'm going to defend myself against crazy people. And that's it. That's what the case is about.
And it's not even that he said, no, I'm not going to lay down and die. It's he gave multiple warning. He pleaded with people to stop. He still got attacked when they hit him with the skateboard. They threw the glass and the Molotovs at him. Yeah.
Grosswitz ran up to him with a fucking gun pointed at him. A gun that he himself was on
illegally had
on an expired concealed carry permit. So he was breaking the law as well in that situation. But for some reason, the aggressor in the situation is the one showing up to court, and the guy in self-defense is the defendant. You know what I mean? Like it should be the other way around. If anything, I don't remember his name is, but Grosswitz should be the one on trial here for attempted murder of a person.
The like I said to you earlier, the only crime that was committed, and it's sad that the media can determine what's a crime now. The only crime that was committed is a white man shot someone with an AR-15. You put white man and AR-15 in the same sentence, it is glorious clickbait. It is views. It doesn't matter.
I couldn't believe at the beginning. A family member of mine shared a thing and said, like, this is the face of white nationalism. And it was Kyle Rittenhouse. And I was like, what? No, it's not. What he did has nothing to do with race. It was defense of private property and himself.
Because the Democrats condoned an entire summer of violence.
Yeah.
They condoned it. They never tried to stop it. You know what I mean? To the point, the Democratic Party not only has moved away from its classical Democrats, people in that town were left. The Democratic Party left those people in the town so much that they felt the need to hire people to arm them and protect their investments. Your political party that you voted for your whole life condoned such violence that you felt you needed to hire somebody with an AR-15 to protect your investment.
Yeah, I see
That's what the
you're saying.
media feels the crime is.
Right.
And it's absurd.
I think
It's-
yes, you're right. Right. Like the Democrats kind of basically condoned all that violence and bailing out people that, were rioting and whatnot. And the police have some blame here as well.
Yeah.
They didn't do much to stop these riots and whatnot. And, we have, I don't like the term, but like there's like the social contract, right? We pay our taxes, and our taxes mean that the police are supposed to be there to uphold the structure of our society and the laws and whatnot. And once people start breaking the laws and going fucking crazy, if the police don't do anything, well, what the fuck are we paying our taxes for? And why did we have this social contract that we agreed to if you don't do anything? So yes, of course, the people who make the rules, the people who are instigating this, of course, they have a lot to blame, the Democrats, right? But the police also sharing the blame. There should be no Kyle Rittenhouse. He shouldn't have had to go to Kenosha to like work fucking security for a place. It should have never happened, because there's a social contract in place where we pay people through our tax funding to do this.
Well, you know who's to blame and who negated our social contract? Our good old trusted media. The media is the reason why this particular story has gone as far as it has gone. This kid is solely on trial because of what the media said. The media is
opinion, yeah.
The media is basically, and the media is not no longer public opinion, it's corporate opinion.
Yeah, yes.
You know what I mean? The media basically had so much sway at that time that the person defending itself is, as you said, the being prosecuted,
right?
Whereas the person with the
aggressor, is the testifying against the self-defense person.
And once again, this case will get thrown out, and they'll say systematic racism. You know what I mean? Like, even though like this is going to be proven in a court of law that it was self-defense, we two dummies called this when it happened. The entire media industry had a different narrative. If we're the ones that are right and they're the ones that are wrong, you have to agree, no matter who you vote for, what you feel, that there's a level of negligence here. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like whether you think he's a white supremacist or not, how come CNN 90% of the time gets a white guy with an AR-15 wrong? You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
How come CNN constantly misjudges the mood of the nation? Either they're a terrible company that nobody should listen to, or they're doing this on purpose.
Oh, they're doing it on purpose.
Yeah.
Dude.
Well, no,
I
mean,
question, I know, but
yeah, me and you understand that. But like, I wish, the one thing that I've always wished on this podcast, I mean, I know everybody in Doom Nation, everyone who's sat through this entire podcast is sitting there going, yep, no, I see this,
Right.
I understand. Yeah, you guys are. I wish we could broadcast this on CNN and really make people's heads explode, because
more people are listening to this right now than would be if we'd
Probably.
be downgrading if we went on CNN at this point.
yeah, we'd probably be losing viewership. But
fucking flies are still in here.
well, they're nesting in there. It's just, how can the media be the media is continuously wrong, but the media is also setting up these trials. There's zero accountability for this. And I hope, if and when Kyle Rittenhouse gets this case thrown out, he sues everyone, just like that kid who made $500 million because the media because he had a Make America Great Again hat on.
Nicholas Sandman.
Yes. And they had the perfect picture of a Native American up in his face, and he was smirking, and they found the picturesque white supremacist.
Dude, to interject, I actually remember pictures saying this is the face of white nationalism of that kid.
Yeah.
Right. So like, holy shit, who's making all these fucking pictures of all these faces of fucking, there's a lot of faces of white nationalism. And the best part about these pictures, these faces of white nationalism, in reality, none of them are the actual faces of white nationalism. Show me a fucking KKK guy, or maybe Joe Biden. That's the actual face.
They've had it wrong every single time, bro.
Yeah. It's ridiculous.
I got nothing left to say of it.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're wrong every time. Like you said at the start of the show, white supremacy is the way to go. It's the most inclusive group in America right now.
Yeah. Spears, what's her name? The lieutenant governor now of Virginia.
Huge white supremacist.
Yeah, she's one. You know, I literally saw on CNN some pundit were saying her mouth might be black, and you know, while she's, I swear to God, this was what was said on CNN.
I almost just spit coffee everywhere.
Her mouth is black and moving, but it's the words of white supremacy coming out of it. I swear to God.
Good.
That's what
double down.
Dude,
double down.
That's what the not racist people are saying. The not racist people. That's what they're saying.
Double down.
Yeah.
I'm glad. Keep that message out there because you're gonna see it in 2022.
Yeah, dude. Just
the message isn't strong enough. No problem.
Yeah.
Increase the message.
At this point, yeah, I'm rooting for the Democrats. Keep doubling down because just like the Soviet Union, you're starting to see people just like, fuck these guys. I don't, you know, it's all BS.
Yep.
So that's a white pill for you guys. Thanks for joining us for episode 100. It was a good time. You know, crazy day. Crazy day. We didn't think we were going to be doing Zoom.
Yeah. The one thing we didn't want to do for episode 100.
Yeah,
but
you know what? It's called Two Doomed Men, right? So
yeah, we've been doomed from the start, pal.
Episode 100 was doomed. We got some other interesting stuff coming up. If you're still listening, the next episode, I really want to go down a rabbit hole with our good friend Shane.
I'm so excited.
What was that concert with
Astro World?
Astro World, right?
I'm the crazy one for thinking politicians drink the blood of children, but now we're gonna go link a concert to satanic rituals. So it took me 100 episodes to be proven not the crazy one. Let's keep it going, people.
Yeah. So keep your eye out for that. Shane has fallen down a deep rabbit hole regarding Astro World or whatever, to the point where I was like, we got to do an episode about it because for once it's not us who the conspiracy theorists, it's somebody else. So we're gonna talk about that in the next episode. So stay tuned. Sometime next week we'll be.
And then we've been towing the line of Popcast 3. I promise you, Doom Nation, whoever enjoys the pop episodes, I am going to wring Marky and Mikey's neck and get this show underway because I've had 3 unboxed pops sitting here for 2 months now.
Dude, I have like 10 in box that I just sitting in my closet waiting.
Dude, all the new Spider-Mans that I ordered, they're all sitting in shipping containers off the coast of LA, bro. I every other week I get a delayed Amazon email thing. I don't know what I'm going to do with myself.
Man, there's no mean tweets though. You don't get your Spider-Man pops, but at least we
don't you know, tweets. Poopy pants or mean tweets.
Yeah.
So,
all right,
Doom Nation. It's been 100 episodes. If you've been here from the start, we thank you dearly. It's been an awesome ride. We hope to go 100, 200, 300 more. Doom Nation. Thank you.
Goodbye.